Alrighty then, so good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, folks. Name's Jake Kelta. Welcome back to the program, and hey! Today we're going to be talking about Sean S. Cunningham's slasher classic, 1980s Friday the 13th. Oh my god! This is an absolute classic in my opinion. It is brilliant, it is intelligent in ways you wouldn't expect, and it, of course, is the tale of a plethora of young camp counselors returning to the, not quite revered site that is Camp Crystal Lake, home to one accidental drowning and a few subsequent murders afterwards. The locals are kind of afraid of the place. However, these young kids don't seem to be that freaked out. That is, however, until a killer is on the loose and begins bumping everyone off in exceedingly gruesome ways. And here's the thing. This film was not well received on its initial release. Critics were reviled, and most infamously, Gene Siskel, famed critic, threw out the address of actress Betsy Palmer, who was in this film, and spoiler alert, was most famous for her plot twist reveal as the killer, the parent of the drowned child. Yeah, that happened. However, this is probably close to Citizen Kane, in my opinion, in revisionist praise. I say that in the sense that this film has become a true, honest-to-God cult classic. And honestly, as a film experience, this is truly one of the most... I'll be honest with you, I just love it. I just love it, and I can barely put my finger on it. Some of it might have to do with the kinetic, almost like documentarian-like cinematography, a lot of it being handheld, certain POV shots. A lot of it is very, very smart, low-budget filmmaking. The handheld work really just does... It gives the film a very visceral feel. It gives you a very in-the-moment thing, but it's not like the artificial shaky cam or, the shaky cameras of today where, everything's, rocking to the point where you can barely see. It's almost like it almost could put you in an epileptic fit, if I'm quite frank. No, here is just general handheld camera work. We're running away. We're running with you. We don't have our steady cam on. We left it at home, but we're going to do the shot anyway. And it works well. It really does work well, and it holds up. The makeup effects. The work provided and helmed by one Mr. Tom Savini. Brilliant work all the way through. I mean, some of this stuff might not age well because you'll notice certain things like skin tone in the infamous arrow sequence. I won't tell you who got bumped off. But yeah, let's just say that arrow sequence, it doesn't always seem to age well, but the key is there's still an impact. The work Savini did for this film has an incredible impact on the film. It's not quite jump scary, but it is just so in the moment. It hits hard, but then it's gone. It's like with Halloween. In fact, that's the thing with these films, with films like Friday the 13th and Halloween. There isn't a great amount of gore. The key is, though, it's the atmosphere that builds up to the gore, but instead of like with other horror films from the past in which they cut away from the gruesome act, no, here they show it to you and then they cut away. They don't leave a lot of linger room, so all of a sudden you have the impact, the cut, you see the effect in action, and then it's gone. It's dead, it's gone. All the way it's out of sight, out of mind. Yet the effect still lingers. And that's the thing. The screenplay is, in my opinion, very simple. And it established, of course, the body count formula, or the very least improved on the body count formula in comparison to Mario Bava's Bay of Blood, which many have considered to be the progenitor of this little subgenre of horror. The thing that makes the screenplay work is that it leaves a lot of room for visual fill-in. It doesn't have... A lot of the dialogue is very, not quite kitsch so much as just kind of incidental. It does give you narrative dump every now and then. It does fill in the blanks for you. But most of what makes this film work, in my opinion, is what people do with the script. Because a good script on its own isn't really worth much when there's not a lot of effort and oomph being put behind it. But here, the cinematography is on point, the editing is sharper than the knives used in the film, the friggin' makeup effects work wonders in enhancing the atmosphere and the impact of all these tense scenes. The acting is... everyone's giving their all. Adrienne King, if I'm correct, who played Alice. Yes, I got the right lady. She does a wonderful job with the material. She doesn't go for the full Scream Queen thing, but she works well with it. She looks comfortable in the role, she looks like she's really in there, and a lot of it just works so well. Betsy Palmer, when she shows up in this film, and spoiler alert, she's the killer, when she's there, she flips back and forth between her very sweet and innocent motherly persona, and then she goes absolutely haywire, showing the madness and the schizophrenia of the character, and she does it so brilliantly. I mean, Palmer delivers a knockout performance, and the lady hadn't been in a major feature film since 1959. Sit and think about that. And so she comes back and freaking firing on all cylinders, and I love her for that. Palmer really does make the film in its final half hour. It is just beautiful stuff. Beautiful work, Mrs. Palmer. You are a blessing to cinema for this role. I'm not even gonna tone that down. I honest to God have to say, she was friggin' phenomenal. And then we get to talk about Harry Manfred's score. Mr. Manfredi, I apologize for mispronouncing your name, but I must compliment you on your score. The key about Manfred's sound is that it's a very, very, it's very Herman-esque. It's choppy, it's aggressive, it has that very, it has a very, riveting, it's a very electric score. And of course there's the infamous, key ma sound effect, excuse me, in which Manfredi, if I'm correct, went into the microphone and went up to a microphone and basically did the syllables key and ma, ran that stuff through an echoplex and set it to some very eerie synthesizers and piano work, thus creating one of the most legendary and, well, quite frankly put, one of the most iconic themes in horror. But then you actually get to the main underscore, which is a very aggressive and choppy affair, And I honestly love that score. It is so filled with aggression and tension, and the idea to make sure that there's only music when the killer is around was a genius effort, because from there, the atmosphere without the killer is very isolated, very desolate. Well, of course, the actions might not indicate those sorts of themes, but it's just the lack of music in general that creates this very eerie ambiance. And so once the killing starts happening and all the score just starts roaring up to life, you have freaking laser sharp horn work, precise, very aggressive string staccato. It all creates this beautiful atmosphere of pure terror and horror. It works so well. Now, like I said earlier, the script, in my opinion, just doesn't really do much. It provides the basic template, but it's the scenario, the payoff, the finale, the reveals. Those twists are the intelligent moves that work so well. And the key thing, in my opinion, horror has never been quite, in my opinion, about telling a very good story. It definitely has room for telling a good story, and films like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho are case examples of telling strong stories, yet still being able to maintain an atmosphere of suspense and terror. Friday the 13th, while not necessarily good with a story and good with character development, it delivers an atmosphere. As a horror experience, this film will scare you. This film has the power to make you not feel comfortable walking out in the dark. This film has the power of making you just feel absolutely anxious. It sits, it lingers in your head long after it's due. And the reason why I'm advocating so vociferously for this film is because I was shocked to hear all of the negative press it got on initial release. Ebert and Siskel and Siskel, however you want to put it, they threw a borderline fit over the film, with the most infamously the posting of Betsy Palmer's address, basically inciting viewers to go write her a very strongly worded letter, as it were. Just the general negative press just surprises me. But then again, that's the issue, I think, with a lot of film critiquing, which is some people I don't feel are willing to meet the film on its terms. Friday the 13th wasn't made to be a big, cinematic, artsy experiment. It was made to be a horror film. Why? Because that's what was popular at the time. But the thing is, if they're going to make a horror film, they're going to make a good horror film. And that's what Friday the 13th is. It's a superb, solid slasher. It might not be good on story, but then again, that's not the point. Overall, highly recommended. If you haven't seen this film, go out and watch it. Now, of course, you may notice over here, there was a sequel. Will I do this sequel? Maybe. Well, with that said, I hope you all enjoy this, and, well, kind of liking the fact that I wish this nightmare weren't real. Actually, I kind of enjoy the fact that it is. God, that was a botching of a tagline, isn't it? Well, can't stick around here for too long. Catch you all later next week, and, well, see you later.